All right, Anaheim, let's get into draft number 1 between Zeta Division and Santos Laguna. Our bans are already locked in, and I have to admit, not a single defender Pokemon being banned is a bit of a shock to me. I really did think that Ho-Oh would likely be one of those Pokemon considered by both of these squads, but in game number 1, not going to be the case, and Tomato going to lock in that Suicune.
That has been a great pick for them the entire weekend. I mean, it's been a great pick for everybody the entire weekend, but Tomato in particular has been doing extremely well with it. So on the other side, we'll see what they end up picking up. We are going to see the Snorlax in the same role. Okay. I think those are two of the kind of tanks, one could say, that have been most common throughout the weekend, but the Galarian Rapidash is going to be really interesting. Obviously banned out a lot in that last set, and missing in a lot of games this weekend.
I was going to say, and in this tournament in general. I feel like Galarian Rapidash, certainly a Pokemon on a lot of people's radar. So we are going to see it finally locked in by Santos Laguna, and Zeta Division going to bring this Clefable to the forefront. I think one of the most pivotal Pokemon in that matchup with Peru that you and I got to cast over a little bit earlier on in the day. And Rom going to be locking in the Zarina. Feels like it's been a minute since we watched that player on the ranged attackers they kind of made their name on, like the Inteleon, but they have been doing a great job on Zarina and even Leafeon within this tournament.
This has been a season of a lot of role changes for a lot of players. The Serena, I'm glad we see it. Super high win rate. We saw it earlier today, but we'll see if they can continue. We're going to see the Aegislash, which is a really interesting pick, alongside another of the highest win rate Pokemon in this entire tournament, which is going to be Eldegoss. So clearly the stats are maybe being weighted toward these teams that are winning a whole lot.
Oh, and there it is. Anisus going to lock in their iconic Pokemon for this tournament. Of course, they always have the option for Scizor or Scyther, but we're looking at the track record of this event specifically. That is going to be a green bug-type Pokemon.
So that's pretty interesting as far as matches that we've seen, because as far as I remember, so, I mean, of course, we do know Zeta lost to Insomnia at ACL. We were there. We got a chance to cast that match, which was awesome. But I do believe within that set, S-Slime from Insomnia chose the Scyther and did very well against Zeta. So it kind of goes two ways. Obviously, Santos Laguna can be like, oh, well, it's worked against them. They can work against them again. But also, Zeta Division has experience against a good Scyther, which very few teams, I think, really get that opportunity to practice against. So it's kind of like a two-way street there.
Yeah, it definitely feels like we're in comfort pick territory already in game number 1. I think that's a really cool spot to be. Leave the more flexible options a little bit later on in this best-of-5 set. I think starting with something you're well known for already is a very safe bet, even if the team has maybe convened some strategies to try to shut you down. One thing I think is going to stretch Tomato a little bit on this Suicune. Obviously, amazing crowd control Pokemon, but with mobile Pokemon like Galarian Rapidash and Scyther, having the opportunity to avoid those stuns could be one of the very important points of this match number 1.
We'll see what happens. Here we go. Top 4 semifinals. We're in a best-of-5 Zeta Division on the purple side, and the orange side, Santos Laguna. Both teams fighting for their spot in the grand finals.
Japan versus Latin America North. Japan hunting for another World Championship. Latin America North already with their best placement of all time. Looking to see if they can top even that. Our central area will be a Blaziken clearing for the first time, and then Scyther going to be catching up as well. So much stronger early game for Santos Laguna, and Anisus will rotate towards the top side to assist Mufasa, who might not need it.
Yeah, apparently not. I do think this is going to be a relatively slow early game. I mean, it's a lot of melee Pokemon, so we are going to see some fights exactly like this, trying to catch it. They will be catching Hitman. Kira getting very, very low. There's going to be a berry, especially with that passive. They should be able to escape if they want to. I say that, and immediately they get KO'd as they do not retreat, and immediately there are a ton of fights, so everything that I said about the game being slow at the start was completely incorrect. There's just a lot of evolutions that need to be had, and really a lot of them are the ones that are doing the fighting. Like this top path, I thought was going to be way slower. They're just running it down. Yeah, I mean, Anisus there backing them up, even pushing Wajiro all the way off of that first goal zone. Buzzwole and just a Clefairy at the time are Pokemon that maybe even a Scyther could handle while being defended on that defensible goal zone. Either way, they are going to retreat back into their central area, get another clear, and make sure they're as high as level as possible for that first 8-minute battle in mid. Quadruped battle down on this tier 1 goal zone. They're still trying to get that score, and they finally get it, but at what cost? They are getting chased down by Suicune. No, gonna be able to escape. Not even gonna try to follow that up here, though. Getting very, very low. They tried to get some points in, probably get one more score before they got KO'd, but unfortunately was not going to happen. And now the 8-minute spawn, quite a big challenge here. I like that check in the tall grass. It looks like it's mostly gonna be Zeta Division taking control of the center.
Yeah, not having Kira Snorlax there to kind of assist in that team fight's gonna be tough, but oh my word! Rom with just a chase down of the site there, pushed out of position by the Blaziken, and the Zarina catches the escape route. Impressive stuff from Rom, gets a KO and is actually chasing down the Eldegoss in the enemy central area at the same time. Vidopo trying to find Kira. The Flux Zone is now gone, getting a better opportunity to do so, but even a level 5 Snorlax has got enough HP to make it back to tier 2.
And Wajiro still chasing all the way, well not chasing, pushing all the way towards this tier 2 gold zone. The entire team is not stopping at 1. They're gonna pick up 2 KOs. Zeta Division is ruthless. This tier 2 gold zone on bottom is already down to about half of its HP. In the meantime, up top, we are gonna have a little bit of the 1v1. We finally got the full evolution for the Aegis Slash, so we are kind of chilling up there for a little bit. We don't see a huge level lead on either side, so they stayed up pretty even, but as the Aegis Slash, I feel like you gotta be pretty happy with that because you had to take a little bit more time to evolve.
Yeah, exactly. You are out-leveling your path opponent in Tommy, which is fantastic, but you gotta be scared about this level 10 Blaziken from Vidopo. That is worrisome indeed. You have Kira focusing on that Regieleki, make sure to knock it out. Certainly Wajiro not in danger of stealing it from you. Follow me, we'll track a little bit of that damage, but now it's all in on this tier 1.
Not being used to trap them there, but still managing to barely try and escape. No, gonna be hunted down. And once again, Zeta Division is gonna pick at least a few KOs up, although everybody's really, really low. They just need to find a few more final hits, and it is going to be Rom, probably cleaning up a whole lot of this, and they're gonna actually equal up to level 10 as well. So they've been out maybe not quite as much in most of these fights, but they're gonna be very, very scary later on, especially that Unite is gonna have a really great target in that site there. They're going to continue to push. One more KO on the Eldegoss. One more target for them. They're going to probably try to score. I'm not sure if you can fully push them away here. Kira all alone. Will pick up one berry. Will escape. This tier 1 gold zone, though, I think this is gonzo.
Yeah, interestingly, not a lot of urgency to defend that tier 1. We actually see 2 of the main damage-dealing Pokemon in Anisas and Mufasa moving down towards the bottom side of the map to get a few scores. At this point in the game, they are playing from behind, not only in that scoring front, but also the stacking front. They need to get some EXP. Rom in danger with the Suicune backup. Tomato with a devastating Unite move. Kira a little too late on that heavy slam yawn combo.
That was a beautiful Unite, landing on 3 members that completely turned that fight around. I really, truly do not think you can give Tomato Suicune. That's something that I said yesterday, I actually believe. But hey, any of these great Suicune players, it is an absolute game changer Pokemon. Right now, this tier 2 gold zone, once again, getting pushed all the way down. How rare is it to see the tier 2 gold zone on bottom broken, especially before the 5-minute mark? That is a level of aggression that is almost unparalleled here.
Yeah, Santos Laguna just so experience hungry at this given moment. Scyther and Aegis Slash will show up for a fight, but if it goes south, they need to go anywhere else and catch up a little bit on experience. I know Spraggles and Dupesnacks have some pretty strong opinions on that Pokemon in particular. One of the outlying ones, though, I think one of the very, very general consensus opinions is that Pokemon has a really tough time playing from behind. We're starting to see that right now.
Yeah, this is in general a team that's pretty tough to play when you are this far behind. I believe they're in Rapidash as well, especially when you're not playing it as a support and you need to actually get some damage off of it. It needs to put itself in some pretty vulnerable situations, and while you can, of course, resist some of the crowd control, you're still taking damage, you're still taking some of the crowd control. It's pretty scary when you're up there against members 3 levels higher than you, which is what we're seeing right here from the Blaziken, 2 levels higher from their other damage dealers. Not a very happy look, I think, for Santos Laguna, but we're only at the 4-minute mark, so they've got some time to come back.
Yeah, still a level 13 Blaziken is an absolutely terrifying raid boss to have to deal with. A very bold jump pad from Hitman, gonna end up in the midst of 4 enemy Pokemon. They get pulled back in. Buzzwole Unite from Tommy will get the KO.
Unite coming out from Eldegoss to try and bring everybody back up. It does, but they just immediately get burned all the way back down. They just have such a life compared to the other side, and especially all of this Blaziken damage is just unstoppable. Vitopo just pushing, literally pushing everybody around, getting that triple KO. They're continuing on into their center area, and for a team that is hungry on experience, stealing away their very lifeblood here is the best thing that a team could possibly do. Zeta Division, not only do they want the lead, they want to hold on to the lead as strongly as possible, and they're doing exactly that. A minute and 10 seconds left until the final stretch. Levels hugely in Zeta Division's advantage, points in their advantage, but if they can, maybe get a little bit careless, give up a KO, Santos Laguna could find an opportunity.
Right, but in that same vein, you could also take even more. That will be the Galarian Rapidash Unite move to hold Vitopo in place, but it seems like they're only doing it for the time being. Mufasa does need to wide guard. They're solo, and they will get the KO onto the Blaziken, so a lot of resources spent to get that knockout. You will likely not have the Aegislash or the Rapidash Unite move for this final fight, but that's a whole lot of experience as Aegislash goes down.
Ooh, they are managing to fight pretty well on the side of Santos Laguna despite everything, especially with this chase down here from the Galarian Rapidash. They're chasing all the way into the center area. A lot of resources being used.
Okay, that yawn just buys a little bit of time. It stops Tommy's combo on the Buzzwole, and now they have an opportunity to knock them out as well. That will be a Unite move from the Snorlax, and Santos Laguna are pushing all the way to the enemy central as Enisus has now achieved level 14.5, and 3 members of Zeta Division are waiting on respawn timers.
Oh, some great scores to try and even things up. They're just going to position pretty far forward. There's still 3 members that are just respawning right now from the side of Zeta Division. Will Santos Laguna go for the immediate burn? Will they try to get maybe another pick? No, they're going for it. They're ripping it. Rayquaza down to already 1/3 HP. What's the secure going to attempt to be? No, the Unite was used but not caught, and it's going to be Buzzwole of all things. The coup de grace was not timed right.
I can't believe that. Buzzwole secures the Rayquaza. Vitopo was charging overheat on the outside of the Rayquaza pit, facing the opposite direction. Didn't even need to eject button into the midst of things because Tommy on this Buzzwole had the opportunity to lock it down. Santos Laguna now will need to respawn and score seemingly countless points to try to turn this game one around. The likely scenario, though, Zeta Division leading 1-0.
What a turnaround into what a turnaround. I feel like I could have just said the same thing twice in a row and it would have made perfect sense. That was an amazing chase down from Santos Laguna, but that was one of the weirdest fights that I have ever seen. From 3 minutes to 2 minutes. It was a chase from the top path all the way down to like southwest of the map. I truly do not understand that fight really, but it made sense, right? It's not like any of it didn't necessarily make sense. It was just, none of us ever see a fight that goes on that long right before the final stretch.
I got to admit, I feel for Santos Laguna a little bit in this moment because I fell for the Blaziken bait as well. I was watching how Kiro was basically playing this man-to-man defense, Snorlax versus the Blaziken, trying to make sure they shut down an opportunity to secure the Rayquaza with overheat. But the whole time, that wasn't even the main threat to be dealing with. Obviously, Tomato Suicune had respawned as well. There was a whole lot that Zeta Division was able to throw at the Rayquaza, even despite that early team fight win. Timing awkward, Santos Laguna's positioning just too uncomfortable, and Zeta Division, I mean, all the merrier.
Oh, they've got to be very merry right there. That was looking a little bit scary, but going from scary to merry, it's going to make them very happy. Zeta Division is going to take game number 1 of the semifinals, best of 5 sets, so there's more to come. But wow, that was looking very scary for both sides.
Honestly, yeah, I mean, Santos Laguna behind that entire matchup finally find a way to claw back into that one, really make a winning opportunity out of seemingly nothing. And Zeta Division, well, they didn't have much time to do it, but they did the exact same thing back the other way.
Yeah, I mean, if we just want to like talk about the moments where things started to shift, of course, everything started to shift the moment that they got the Aegislash KO on the Blaziken. That was a huge EXP shift, and that is one thing that you really always have to fear about Aegislash, is that it has so many tools that somewhat bypass, I guess you could just say like raw stats, right?
Sure,
like
yeah,
the ways to essentially become somewhat invincible, the ways to kind of get your crowd control, the ways that you can, melt people with like, not something true damage, but percentage damage.
But reduce defense damage with Secret Sword, right? You really enable yourself in a lot of ways.
Exactly. So when you've got things that are statted above you, it's not like it's going to be easy, but Aegislash always kind of has a chance, and that's something that we got, I think, a chance to see right there, which did start that big turnaround, and I think it was honestly really, really well played from them to try and push all the way into that victory. But boy, that clutch moment at Rayquaza was just simply too good from Zeta.
Way too good. I mean, and we got to admit also, the first 7 minutes of the match or so, it did feel like Zeta Division was handling it. Obviously, that top path victory going in the favor of Santos Laguna, but bottom path having a bit of a tough time against how powerful Zeta Division is. And all right, while we were waiting for these players to get set, we got one more interview, so we're going to throw it to that. And while we wait for game number 2.
Okay, wonderful. All right, everybody, we have Zeta Division beating Santos Laguna in this first game of the best of 5, and I'm here with Zeta Division fans. So give it up for Zeta Division, everybody! All right, getting ready for this next game of the best of 5, and we'll see how Santos Laguna is gonna respond. Back to you.
So much so. All right, cool. We got a look at some of the fans hanging out in the crowd. We know if you want to cheer on your favorite team at some of these events, you got to get here early. If you want to be front row for some of these events, it can be challenging. I can't imagine. Tomorrow Sunday Arena. If you want to watch Pokemon Unite in Championship Sunday, you got to get there early, everybody. You don't want to miss the arena show.
Oh yeah, we all have to get there early. Everybody watching on the broadcast, everybody in the
We're
arena,
saying that
the
in two
players.
very different energies, though.
Yeah.
I'm excited. You're maybe not.
Listen, I don't have a broken sleep schedule. I certainly don't go to sleep at that time usually. But no. I am so excited. Now, it is true. Especially, for example, we got to see the Zeta fans right there. A lot of the Japanese fans. First of all, best sign game in the game.
Yeah.
Right? We got a chance to see that ACL. It's one of the best signs. I mean, look at that. I wish I had, anime character signs drawn of me. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But they are such a dedicated fan base, and I always do love seeing them. They're very early, as you can see. If you can get that seat in the front like that,
yes.
I mean, okay, you were here probably before we were.
Exactly. And all right, like I said, we are squared up for game number 2. Santos Laguna taking that first loss. You gotta start to ask, some of these pocket picks that these players have been utilizing, maybe like the Galarian Rapidash, Aegislash, and Scyther, have been the mainstays of this team so far in the tournament run. They ran into the first major obstacle of Zeta Division. That early game was extremely tough for these Pokemon. Do we see a change-up from this Latin America North team?
I think, look at the tomato. Look at that, all the tomatoes. I do love tomatoes, but I also love this tomato. Amazing player. Tomato! I was in the middle of a thought. Yes. Okay. So this video game that we're playing, in case anybody didn't know, we are playing a video game at the moment, Pokemon Unite. And yes, that early game was really, really brutal from the side of Zeta. They were so aggressive. That is some of the most aggression that I've seen from anybody. And the interesting thing is, again, when we see this early game aggression, a lot of times it's like invades or like attempts to kind of rotate around.
Yep.
This was just like, people were just sending it. And honestly, from both sides, we saw a whole lot of like, just send it. But I do think that we need to be a little bit more careful on the side of Santos Laguna this time, and we could get a few picks that are a little bit more early-centric, and especially early defense-centric, because they were getting their goal zones pushed down pretty quickly, and they would have really liked to, I think, had those a little bit healthier later on. So anything that does big AoE damage, anything that's strong early, I think would be great.
Okay. So you're the angel on the shoulder of Santos Laguna. Let me be the devil. It's time. Run it down, Santos Laguna. Don't allow Zeta Division even any room, because that is what they were doing to you as well. This again, I love how aggressive both these teams are, and I think if they want to play to their strengths. But, of course, I think your advice is correct. This is a dangerous spot to be in, especially being down one game. You get a bit more flexibility in this best of 5, but still, even if you got more rooms to give, you have to take a lot as well.
Sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the anvil. Sometimes you're the angel, sometimes you're the devil. I don't know. We'll see if they want to be the hammer or the anvil. Right now, they are going to be starting off with a pretty aggressive first pick.
Oh, look at that damage dealt stat, by the way, from Rom with Serena in that last game. Oh my word. 115,000 damage on this Stomp Grassy Glide Serena. I mean, so like we mentioned, we're switching from these ranged attackers to these melee brawlers. For this meta specifically, it's already paying off.
Yeah, and also win rate went up from the already highest win rate Pokemon in the game off that, and it just got banned more, so encounter rate went up as well. Makes a whole bunch of sense. Ho-Oh, though, is going to be let out of jail, and Tomato on the Ho-Oh is going to be a very, very scary thing to behold for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Ho-Oh, Balissi, that is so much HP to work with. It'll be very interesting to see what Santos Laguna want to go. And so far, it looks like they kind of want to enter the mix, enter the brawl. Clefable and Snorlax, two Pokemon that love the longevity of some of these bigger team fights, and they can provide a lot of resources for that. Of course, I feel like Snorlax is one of our biggest mainstays, but Zeta Division going to be locking in the Garchomp. Obviously, they did have a roster change, so the normal Garchomp player has been switched out. That is Tommy, and they are going to be locking it in.
I do think that's a great pick against what they're potentially picking here. Yep. Like you said, with their second and third picks, they are going to be looking towards staying a little bit closer together, being a little bit tankier, and that's exactly what Garchomp likes.
Exactly.
It's exactly that.
Yeah, so not too many changes, right? Galarian Rapidash not here anymore. We're going to go with Latios, and now we don't have the Eldegoss any longer. It will be Clefable. So a much more group-centric team fight. Also, Anisauce has changed up their items slightly, I believe. Weakness policy being equipped. There is a non-zero chance that this won't be inside there. I'm saying non-zero. I'm saying non-zero.
I know.
I'm not saying for sure.
I will say in the past, there have been a lot of Scythers that have used weakness policy.
For sure.
I don't actually really fully understand why. That's like my own problem, I guess, but I have seen that for a few years. So not 100% guaranteed, but that would be kind of cool to see. That would be a very, very defensive team. Maybe just kind of playing Protect the President with the Latios as kind of their main damage. But on the other side, the Dodrio, another Pokemon that's really high up in the win rate at the moment, but an interesting pick to go up against this comp. I would have to assume that this is going to be Tri-Attack. I feel like that's the only way that it makes sense.
Yeah, I really enjoy Vidopo locking something new, but they kind of had to. These banning phase focus a lot on those two damage dealers from Zeta Division previously, Serena and Blaziken, so important to Vidopo and Rom respectively in that last matchup. We got to shake things up somehow. Santos Laguna doing that in a few ways, taking first pick in our draft, not to mention finding some new bans being heavily targeted.
I'm also quite happy, both this game and last game, they didn't immediately go to that Zoroark Comfey strategy.
Yeah.
They showed off what else they had, and honestly, I'm like loving it even more considerably. But here we go, game number 2, Zeta Division up 1-0, but it's not match point quite yet as we're a best of 5.
All right, Santos Laguna going to be sending Latios into the path. This is really tough for this Pokemon. Latios needs its level 5 as rapidly as you possibly can. Putting it in tandem with the Snorlax could be working, but Tomato and Rom striking very early, leaving a lot of their own wild Pokemon in path just to favor these contestables. Kira doing a great job of out-securing 2 contestable Pokemon, though.
I am annoyed thinking of fighting against that path.
Yeah.
That looks so incredibly annoying. A little bit more of like a brawler path up top, and I do love seeing both the cute pink blobs and not evolved quite yet, just trying to help out their little friends. But bottom, it's pure evil right now.
Right, exactly. Yeah, nefarious, evil,
yes.
Whatever you'd like to say. It is very, very scary at the moment. So far, Hitman not hitting that level 5 at the very least Anisauce has, but so has Vidopo. I think these players very aware of who's hiding in which crashes and Tri-Attack strikes first. Vidopo forcing Anisauce out of that bottom L-bush.
You said it was going to be a match between them. They almost had a little bit of a 1v1 right there. They are both going to be helping that bottom path, and it does seem like they're not going to be pushing for all that much extra on top of the experience, but oh my gosh, you move so fast in that it's so easy for Tomato to just kind of move forward, harass a little bit, just be annoying, which is exactly what you need to do, especially because you want to kind of get that Snorlax a little bit lower so it can't just run around and be the body blocker that it wants to be.
Wow, okay, Tommy on the top side, we saw a little bit there with our picture-in-picture, getting 2 KOs in a row. So absolutely dominating the top side. Mufasa struggling a little bit more in this game, potentially without the pocket of that Eldegoss to support them, and Minato really needed to get their levels up as well. They finally have access to Moonlight, though, so we'll be a bit better in tandem with that Aegislash. The time being, though, Tommy is really throwing out the damage. Oh, but there's the counter KO. Minato shows, yeah, you don't touch my all-rounder.
This is the most ridiculous stat we've seen all week. Santos Laguna's average feints per match, 6. Zeta Division's is 19. you're one of the best teams in the world and your average FaZe per match is 19, that is a very, very interesting stat. I would love to dig deeper into that, but we've got a match that we've got to watch, and I think that's going to take me a few hours. Tomato, right now, kind of 1v2ing this path because it's Tomato.
Yeah.
And that's how scary this Pokemon is right now.
Now, the interesting thing about Tomato staying in these aggressive positions is it does allow Hitman to stack up more of that Aeon energy. Okay, already a knockout. Kira down. Vitobo finds 2. Is about to get up to that level 9. And of course, Unite move will be accessible. Triple Trample is here well before the first set of Regis. On the other hand, Santos Laguna are even searching for a level 8. Mufasa finally hitting that breakpoint. No Unite move to the next level, though.
So everything we were talking about the very early aggression, especially crashes onto these top tier gold zones, or these tier 1 gold zones, I should say. It's just all happening again. Zeta Division is running a very, very similar concept. They've already taken on the tier 1 gold zone on bottom. This Regieleki is going to be going to Santos Laguna. That's got to be pretty good for them. They really want to control at least one of their tier 1s for the rest of this match, and they've got to get some points back. They're not going to be pushing this one in, but at least it's not getting pushed into their goal.
Right. Mufasa gets a couple of attacks into that Mewtwo, but Rom still having teleport off cooldown means they're able to jump over that wall and escape any bit of mobility that Mufasa could throw. Those boosted auto attacks can both be a hammer and an anvil, if you will, for these Aegislash. Can bring you into really dangerous territories with that far dash. However, when you're striking in a Tomato, I don't think you're too worried about where you're going. That's a full burst damage with the green illusion dive from Anislash. Tommy is able to grab them and get that support with the Unite move. The Garchomp absolutely reign in terror here in the middle of the map.
Rom doing so much damage from the back line, but trying to get Dove, unfortunately, was not able to quite get the KO. And so Rom is going to be able to clean that up while we get a little bit of 2v1 in middle. We're just kind of playing leapfrog here with KOs. It's just like I'm KOing you, somebody else comes KOs me, then somebody KOs that person over and over. A lot of trades, but it kind of felt like it was even trades. However, the overall experience was in the favor of Zeta Division before that fight. So if you had to look at an overall resource winner, it's probably Santos Laguna.
Yeah, I think it's sliding slightly in their favor with those scales. And of course, they're going to be looking for a whole lot more soon. They are struggling in the points attempt. This top side's been so fantastic from Tommy and Wajiro that goal zone is left only at 7. They are kidnapping this Garchomp, but little do they know, Tomato and Vitobo are there for the back cap from that top L bush.
They're like, wait, no, push them in the other direction. Get them away from us, help! And right now, they're just like, thank you for pushing me all the way to this goal zone. This tier 1's going down. Half your team is going down. Your tier 2 goal zone is nearly going down. They're leaving it at 21 after this, and we're still so early in the game. That would be perfect for a huge Regieleki into an overdunk. I do like this return takedown on the bottom tier 1. Vitobo, though, getting KO'd. That's going to be huge. Hitman going to get a lot of experience for that.
Picking up a couple. Also able to knock out the Blissey with that latent damage from that passive from the Latios. Minato healing up the squad. See if they could chase down Tommy. However, with that full range extension, I think they're going to be able to have a very safe recall. Never mind. We'll just heal up off the Swablu Walterias. Thank you, Garchomp basic attacks.
That was so fast, that amount of healing. That is a little bit ridiculous. Reg Ice, though, as well, is going to be absolutely melted, and could have healed back up on that, if I'm being 100% honest. There's an attempt to steal here. We do have the coup de grace up, so you don't really want to try to get it that low. It doesn't feel like you have that secure unless, you go first for the Aegislash. Going to go into the Anvil mode and then back into the Hammer mode, as it's going to try to get a little bit more damage here. Oh, going to just ignore them and continue into the back line, trying to chase down Hitman. They're doing an okay job of it, but the Bliss Assist is not going to be enough to help them get all the way there. Reg Ice still sitting there like somebody's got to try to finish this, but in the end, wow, it's Scyther, not what I expected.
Yeah, Mufasa playing a really passive, patient team fight in that way, leaving a couple of boosted auto attacks even while in sword form so they could wait for Wide Guard to come back up off cooldown to get access to those shield boosted auto attacks. They get a KO streak of 3, ultimately felled by Rom's Mewtwo Y, who returns in fashion. I mean, what an answer in terms of momentum, and take a look at this. Zeta Division, never once have they been satisfied with a team fight win. They always got to push for more. They're looking for blue buff.
Oh no, they might have got a little bit too greedy. Losing Tomato there is okay, but I feel like you really don't want to lose this Mewtwo. That's going to be a lot of points going to the other side, a lot of experience going to the other side. That may be one of the first moments that I've seen and said, okay, just too greedy. Especially, we saw Tomato so low. Obviously, you have their generator, so you are going to get a lot of it back, but they were still going a little bit deep for that moment. Mufasa fighting Tomi up top. And looks like it's just going to be a little bit of a retreat from both sides. We are getting really close to this final stretch. They don't want a repeat of fighting from 3 minutes to 2 minutes.
Exactly. Rito still wanting to get a few of those special attack spec stacks in that tier 2 if they can. That's why we're seeing these really small scores. And at this point, they will likely be getting KO'd. But following in Moonlight can certainly buy you a whole lot of time. But how about hero backup? As Snorlax, well, they look, they watch, they decide not.
Honestly, getting yourself KO'd right there might not have been the worst choice in the world. Like, maybe they should have just turned around, let themselves get KO, changed their respawn timer, but nice. That's actually a huge one. I mean, they only got KOs on the experience share Pokemon from the side of Zeta Division. Santos Laguna getting some better targets, but they are going to use a lot of their resources. Whoa. 2 of their damage dealers going down on the side of Santos Laguna. This is huge. They're really committing to this. Nowhere even close to the Ray Pit.
All right, and that's the Clefable down as well. They did roll Hyper Beam off their Unite move, but unfortunately, we're not able to land it on anybody. This is up to Anisus. They got to change this around. It's the second instance of Power Nap to get it. Rayquaza already down below half HP. The Mewtwo Y is gone. Can Anisus make it there in time? No! Vito push no trio. It's going to take that last hit.
Oh, they played that so incredibly smart, but there's still a few members left up of Santos Laguna. It's not 100% over yet. I mean, this is going to be a great way to hunt this down, but this is not the hugest shield in the world. Aegislash is going to come through. They should be able to jump over, but no, not going to be able to stop it in time. Had to make the read beforehand, maybe, and especially with these points up top, it's going to be even more and more difficult. However, because that was such a quick Ray rip, we still have 1 minute and 20 seconds left. That was a gigantic KO. You can see how many points were actually just picked up. 50 now in the pockets of Latios, 26 in the pockets of Aegislash. This is not over.
It is not. They do have some incredible burst damage Pokemon. Scyther, Aegislash, potentially even this poke damage from Latios can take some teamfight wins onto this tier 2. Zeta Division are now going to be caught in that weird space where their lead is okay, but they could push for some back caps as well. Tomatoes Ho-Oh does have almost 50 points and is looking to take that sack route all the way to the home goal zone.
Oh yeah, that one's almost certainly going in. This is going to have to be a really far push all the way from Santos Laguna. That's going to be an unstoppable. Oh, they even have the shield left 100%. I didn't even realize that. They're going to be rotating all the way down to this bottom tier 2, it looks like, seeing if they can catch anybody out. You're not coming out from Mewtwo. That's actually going to collect on a lot right there. The Bliss assistance onto this Garchomp is going to help them get double KOs. Going to go for 3rd and a 4th. Everybody pinned together. This is not looking like a great position for Santos Laguna at the moment. No KOs on their side quite yet. They need everybody to go down, but they're the ones going down. Only 1 member up. And that is certainly not going to be enough. All the way back at base, 10 seconds left. Zeta Division is controlling this one to go to a 2-0 lead.
Wow, yet another Rayquaza fight that starts just a few moments before the Pokemon actually spawns in and hits the map. And Zeta Division this time coming out on top, both in terms of that first fight as well as capitalizing and knocking out that Rayquaza. Massive play from this team. Big Stick looked a little scary, but a few Pokemon holding onto shields really made that one inevitable.
And one thing that we talked about earlier is how close in playstyle Zeta and Luminosity can be. And one thing that I said about Luminosity earlier is that they're really strong when they get a chance to understand what their win condition is beforehand. What are we looking at? Oh, the damage. Yeah,
the torch in terms of damage has been passed from Rom to Tommy for this game number 2 as this Garchomp setting themselves up for a 2-0 lead. Has 133,000 damage on this Garchomp, 12 knockouts as well. The newest member of this Zeta Division team, and what a debut from them.
That is certainly a statement of I belong here. I deserve to be here.
For sure.
Okay, so what I was saying was the way that they played around having their win condition, which is a team that can rip Ray faster than almost any other team that we've seen this weekend, having just so much damage. They knew that if they won that fight and even left a few members up, they had the vision to be able to retreat back and burn down that Rayquaza before there was any opportunity for Santos Laguna to do anything.
Right, yeah, great decision making at that moment. Obviously, it gets a little scary, a little risky because Anisus able to put in some work, but Mewtwo Y escaping, I think, is the most pivotal moment of that. Blissey, very impressive, giving up kind of their own life in exchange for the Mewtwo Y to escape, where Bliss assistancing into the backlight. Anisus just has to focus all their damage onto this Blissey, and Mewtwo Y able to roam all the way to the middle point of the map and knock out the Rayquaza. So just a lot of expenditure of resources, great work from Zeta Division, really all across the map that last game.
Yeah, now they're setting themselves up into a huge lead. I mean, for anybody who maybe hasn't been following along for years, our last world champions, our previous world champions, were from Japan, and now we don't have them here as a team any longer, but Japan would love to return to Grand Finals for the second year in a row, earn a spot to fight for their repeat win, and they are now just one step away. Zeta win, you can see right there, look at that, the Japanese fans.
And more tomato!
And more tomato, one of the most popular, you know, we gotta get everybody to eat healthy. Tomato's gonna do a great job of that.
My job on this commentary booth is to go, tomato! And I am enjoying it. Thank you, Camera Zoom. That's awesome. Yeah, this has been a really fun match so far. Obviously, Zeta Division, the pace car in this best of 5. We are going into game number 3. Santos Laguna have brought a very, very similar strategy into both games. I do think Hitman's Latios impressed me a lot more than the Galarian Rapidash. Still was not enough to turn things around. And I mean, you lose 2 very important members before the Rayquaza fight. Zeta Division really takes advantage of that. The tough spot to be, it's micro calls, it could be macro calls, it's a lot to work on, and you're running out of time.
Well, still, I think one of the biggest problems has been that early game where it's just been an absolute, I don't know, landslide, basically, from Zeta. And, you know, I was saying earlier, maybe they should choose some more defensive options. Maybe they should play the anvil. Maybe it is time for them to play the hammer. Maybe what you do is you start saying, oh, they're focusing for bottom. Let's focus for top. Let's just take exactly what they're taking, the opposite direction. And that's a strategy we've seen so many strong teams use. It's just we haven't seen really either direction fully committed to yet from Santos Laguna. I think that if they want to make this comeback in this set, 3 games straight, it's going to have to be some sort of huge answer.
All right, well, we are starting with the exact same band as Game 2 for Santos Laguna, and I believe Zeta Division as well. We're going to be jumping back into this draft. A Pokemon like Suicune is still available and has been such an important Pokemon. Well, we are going to be first picking that Latios. Zeta Division picked Suicune, but only when they were in the first pick position on the purple side. So instead, Wajiro going for the Blissey yet again. Such a powerful Pokemon. I think was a part of a major moment. And Tomato will go onto the defender. I would say the most Tomato-like of all defenders available in Pokemon Unite.
Maybe like the very Hollowware Snorlax. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's Tomato-like. Yeah, it's such a tough situation where both Suicune and Ho-Oh being available early on, it means that there's no really great way to take them both away from Tomato.
Yeah, and Tomato hasn't had ban phase, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you would have to really change your entire ban strategy, and that's just not something that Santos Laguna clearly feels comfortable doing. So we are going to go to some pretty similar picks. It looks like overall, maybe from both sides.
Yeah, we're going to see the Garchomp yet again. I love the coordination between Washiro and Tommy, not only in the early game pathing phase, but I think we saw some really great stuff, especially around the defense of that Tier 2 goal zone. Even a Dragon Rush across the wall into their own central, backing it up with some Blitz assistance has been impressive. Santos Laguna running back the exact same composition from Game 2. Zeta Division, the only switch will be made is in the Dodrio slot. Vidopo going to return to the Leafeon, which has a 43% pick rate on the tournament.
I think that's a great choice. I think that they are going to play some pretty similar roles. I mean, if you're playing the Tri-Attack Dodrio, you're a little bit more of like these like ranged speedsters where you can play a little bit more safe range. You're going to potentially get some AoE damage, and your AoE damage is going to be a little bit more significant here with the Leafeon. And I think that with how everybody groups up on that side, it's going to be really strong. But also, you are going to be able to maybe solo out that Latios with your Unite move if you can find yourself in the correct situation. And sandwiching yourself with a good flank behind them while there is a very scary either defender or Garchomp in front of them is a great way to do that.
That's true. You just got to be careful. You don't get hit by a wide guard. Don't get hit by a block. Don't get follow me. There's a lot of dangerous stuff out there. But I know right now, both of these teams are so excited, but probably nervous. I'm nervous and excited. It's a bit of a combination on this main stage. Santos Laguna backs against the wall. Truly a historic tournament run for not only this team, for this region, a few of these players. This is their first year competing in the Unite Championship Series. Zeta Division, old hats at this point, as they have played now 2 years in a row and are looking to achieve an even better result than they have in previous years. But they've already done now by making it into the top 4 territory. they would love to play in Championship Sunday.
Yeah, the pressure on them is higher than maybe almost any other team. You know, just their entire region wanting that repeat so bad. I was just talking about it, but it's such a different feeling than a region that has never won Worlds. And of course, their entire region is behind them as well, but the expectation isn't, of course, we have to win again. You know, it's if you can win again, you are the greatest of all time, or if you can win for our first time. But when you have, you know, just legends behind you, it is a lot of pressure on your shoulders, and Zeta have absolutely lived up to it so far.
True.
Not only, of course, wanting to repeat, but wanting to do better themselves than they have before. And also, to be honest, they're one of the best teams that has been around and not been able to take a Worlds, right? I mean, obviously there's only been 2 Worlds winners, but it's one of those teams where it's like, if you were to say within the next 3 years, you know, this year included, what are some of the teams that you think could win Worlds? They would be right at the top of the list.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, man, yeah, looking forward to the future. It's a really fun thing, too. I like that a lot. All right, sorry, everybody, we're going to be getting back into game very, very soon. We do not want to hold this one back anymore. And oh my word, we have had so many incredible cosplays, outfits, costumes throughout this entire tournament. So thank you everyone so much for showcasing your passion, not only for Pokemon Unite, but for these competitors, for the competition as a whole. It has been so fun to see you and have you join us for Anaheim Worlds 2025. We're in one of the best sets we've ever seen here yet today.
Oh yeah, it just keeps getting better throughout the entire day. The things that we've seen this weekend are unbelievable. From the very first game of day 1 until the very last game that we just saw where Score Comp won, every single thing that we've been seeing is unbelievable. This has been one of the best I guess, one of the best front-to-back Worlds that we've had. Like, there have been no games that have just been filler games. This has been all the way through. There have been games that we had to have on the feature match station that have been incredible matches. There's just absolutely, I don't know, the competition has leveled up.
Yeah, totally. And hey, shout out Feature Station that we now have 2 streams during this event. I really hope everybody enjoyed that, not missing a moment of the action, or at least as much as we possibly could have. It has been so much fun. Like you mentioned, the tournament matches throughout the entire weekend have been elite, and getting our chance to see as many of them as possible. I know it's been a major request of the community and also us, because seeing these teams play on the main stage is just so fun.
Oh, yes. All these teams have earned their spot, and I love that they all get a chance to be seen, and those matches get to stay in the history books forever. I mean, especially for, you know, kind of like competitive nerds like you and I.
Yeah.
I want every match to be recorded for history ever.
Yes.
I want it to be like, you know, 20 years from now, 15 years from now, and I'm like, okay, do you remember that moment that was in, you know, Worlds 2025 where this particular thing happened? And I want to be able to go back and click on a video and be like, yes, we get to see that exact moment. And then we look at ourselves and like, we were so young then. That's wild.
Yeah, well, to the surprise of no one, we're pretty big nerds up here, casting Pokemon Unite. But I know there's a whole lot more of you down there who are also in love with the game and in love with this competitive scene and all of its crazy shenanigans that we see things getting up to. This is going to be such a fun one. Game number 3 is going to be almost an identical draft. We're going to get to see Sus versus Vito, but potentially for the last time, a Scyther versus a Leafeon. It does feel like we finally have the iconic matchup between these 2 players.
Which is so great to see. I mean, honestly, there's so many good roll-to-roll matchups within both of these teams. And honestly, I do feel like we get to see that more and more as we get towards the end of the bracket, where every member of all of these teams are star players. And we can see right there on the big screen that we're getting started with game number 3. Last chance here for Santos Laguna. They've got to win 3 in a row. If they don't, then Zeta Division will move on to the grand finals, for Japan moving there for the 2nd year in a row.
Zeta Division on the edge of victory. Santos Laguna just hunting for it, like you just mentioned, Wonder Chef. Now, we do have that Leafeon clearing the central area at the beginning. This will be 2 Pokemon that will be at a very similar pace. The Leafeon and Scyther both having extremely fast clears, even in the early game, will hit that level 5 power spike. right on time.
Truly, that path from Zeta Division still is like giving me anxiety. Just seeing them just stand there and just hold A, and the entire other path just like, help me. But they're continuing on with the aggression. A third member coming down as Vitopo is going to be coming down to help them. Might run into any sus up in the center area. Got to be careful. That's a really far flank. We usually don't see them go all the way that far back, so I would love to see what any sus's plans are. Trying to catch up Vitopo. They are going to find them immediately. Gets a ton of damage. Does not quite get the KO. Manages to get out of the way of the Razor Leaf. A great play, and that's going to delay them long enough to stop them from getting as much of the farm in the bird spawns. But oh my goodness, so much damage.
Yeah, this is scary because now Kira's going to have to try to defend this goal zone with no citrus berries to retreat to. And Sus is there with half an HP bar. Mewtwo goes down, even mid-size strike aim. And Sus with a 1 HP in a dream shenanigans as Vitopo doesn't even want to take that fight after that.
That was very risky. Everything that NESUS pulled right there was very risky and paid off very well. I mean, that was just confidence. The fact that you're down, yes. No, but the fact that you were down 2 games and you're willing to go for that far of a flank, be willing to defend with that little life, and then it actually pays off, shows that Santos Laguna, they're on the back foot, but they have not crumbled at all.
Yeah, now the one scary thing is Mufasa has had a tough time against Tomi and Vitopo and Wajiro in this last exchange. Tomato also coming for the backup, leaving the 2 attackers in the bottom side to duel alone. These new Swablu Altarias will be Zetas alone, as no one from Santos Laguna has the opportunity to try to steal that EXP. Mufasa just desperately looking for any experience, trying to get that A/evolution.
Tomato playing a great forward position, just playing for vision. Every single movement that is being made from Santos Laguna is being seen at the moment, and now Tomato finally backing up once they realize, okay, we know where they are, we know where they've rotated to, now we can split up accordingly. Most of them kind of in the center.
Wow, Tommy actually catching that double blade in the tall grass with the Dragon Rush and the Dragon Claw combination. Big heavy slam from Kira, giving them a little bit more time as Tomato with the Assault Vest so tanky, not too worried about the Latios poke damage at the time being with that special defense, not to mention the self-healing and Blissey healing they have access to.
Still just a lot of bullying on this bottom path. It's kind of like we're going back to like the pathing phase, but they're not able to get too many KOs, which is pretty nice. I mean, you are a late game scaler for Latios, so as long as you're holding on, as long as you're getting some farm, things are going to kind of go okay. Unfortunately, they are pretty low level at the moment. Hitting level 8 while everybody else is hitting level 9 on the side of Zeta Division. That's pretty scary. Also the defense up top. I mean, you can stop a 35-point score, but you got to be careful about getting KO'd yourself when you already have a Garchomp and, of course, Vitopo on this Leafeon.
All right, Minato just doing as much as they can to buy time. Vitopo might be getting a little frustrated, but they still got damage to work with. We're going to cut down to the Reg Ice on the bottom side. Kira will fall, will not have the chance to block the objective, but that's okay. Anisus picks it up anyways. They do have the Green Illusion dive, give up on chasing the Mewtwo Y, and instead decide to execute the Ho-Oh.
That is a great little jump ahead for Santos Laguna. I shouldn't say jump ahead, kind of jump back up to even, but it's a great boost for them. And NESUS has really been leading the charge this time around. This play on the side there has been amazing. They've been enabling a lot of what's making things work. Look at this huge wide invade into the center area from Zeta Division, and they're going in to try and flank and push in this Regieleki.
Mewtwo already down. No Moonlight healing is going to be really difficult to play around this objective. Garchomp throwing members of the enemy team both to the top side and back to the tier 2. Regieleki will land. Zeta Division is going to build this score lead to 230 to a donut in game number 3.
This is looking even scarier than game number 1. Zeta Division just holding full control. The fact that they have had in every single game a tier 2 goal zone down before the 5-minute mark, and alternating paths, by the way, top, bottom, top, is absolutely incredible. Oh, nice. Okay, NESUS once again picking up a KO. It is going to be on Tomato. It's not the biggest thing in the world, but almost a second. A great unite to stop that from happening from Vitopo. It does look like they probably should be able to pick up Wajiro, but again, any little trades like that are going to be quite good for Santos Laguna.
I'm honestly shocked Vitopo was able to just kind of face tank all of the green illusions with that final hit onto the Leafeon, but Unite move doing a lot of work in that exchange. That is a Clefable Unite move and a Snorlax, which will also outlast the Garchomp, and NESUS will get their revenge onto a member of Zeta Division. They're going to try to chase down Ramen the Mewtwo Y. Meanwhile, a mid-battle inside of this mid part of the map. as the Swablu and Altaria is the next to go down.
Oh, they're all so low. Moonlight just barely coming back up to bring them to any sort of life. It's 4 members, though, but Tomato is going to do so much damage. I can chase you across a wall. You can't fly away from me. But they did manage to get a good amount of that experience on the side of Santos Laguna. Things are not looking that well. Okay, that's not looking super great, as Vitopo gets a great flank into the Unite, but other things are looking pretty good altogether for Santos Laguna compared to the first few minutes of this match. They're starting to get score. Another Unite coming out from Scyther, but Scyther goes down as it's happening. That's going to be unfortunate. They're losing all their strong members on Santos Laguna's side. This might be another tier 1 goal zone going down, only 12-6. Yep, they're breaking that quick.
Yeah, Wajiro's Blitz Assistance has just proved too powerful. It's one of the best answers to this Scyther dive. As soon as they try to explode, Scyther does have to, after they first do a wing beat, jump into melee range. Blitzy not only having the knockup, but also the ability to KO Scyther themselves if they need to, has made it really difficult to find knockouts onto this Garchomp, onto this Leafeon, and Zeta Division has been able to push this lead further and further. Regieleki will go down for free. Zenithos gets a lot of feedback off that. It probably will not be landing in this tier 1 as Zeta Division rallies to defend.
That is surprising that, to me, that Zeta Division didn't try to prioritize that at all. Oh, an attempt to at least get something in before we get to this final stretch. Probably reset your KO timer as well. But this Regieleki obviously could have been heading towards the base goal zone, the home goal zone of Santos Laguna, but instead Zeta Division, they're preparing for more of a fight.
Yeah, and they're going to actually take that fight right now. The best way to prepare for a fight, I find, is taking it. Also, having Vitopo at level 15 is where that Leafeon is right about to achieve. Mufasa does get a Sacred Sword, but now they're at the Wide Guard in the midst of 4 enemy Pokemon. Wide Guard is off cooldown, so they do get pulled by the Garchomp when this battle's actually raining on. That is the Garchomp Unite move needed to KO that Aegis Slash. Kira there for the defense, try to peel for Hitman, who's getting poke damage. But Mewtwo Unite cascades onto all of them. Anisos, the only member left up for Santos Laguna, and they go down! The side strike found the target!
No members up, but there's 8 seconds left. The coup de grace is available. If we can sneak in with Mufasa, that might be one of the only ways that you live. Or, I mean, honestly, you just don't even burn it. Maybe on the side of Zeta Division. No, they're going for it. They're going 100%. Aegis Slash is down. They're going to have to find a miracle secure. Snorlax jumping in. What's the final hit going to be? It's Tomato. Everybody with the Tomato shirts out there living their best life as Zeta Division, with already a 200-point lead, will take a lot of shields moving forward to score.
Kira leaps in with the Snorlax to buy some space. Heavy Slam block opens it up. Clefable uses their Unite move and attempts to Hydro Pump the Rayquaza. A tough turn of events. A few options would have been a little better, but Zeta Division really covered for all of their outs. Yet another match defined by a team fight preemptively around the Rayquaza, and Zeta Division 3 for 3 when it comes down to an aggressive battle near the end of the match.
This set has been nearly full repeats for every single game. The comps were similar, the kind of back and forth was similar, the leads that Zeta got were similar, the way they dealt with Rayquaza was similar. Everything just felt like it was in their control. They're ahead by over 500 points, so even Hundo Burgers in everybody's pockets are not quite going to be enough. A KO onto, at least, Tommy, that's going to be one big KO. 40 seconds left. This is going to have to be nearly a miracle if we want to see Santos Laguna make this back.
Yeah, Vitopo on the run right now, but this Speedster will be able to easily retreat to the rest of their team as Wachiro says, where have you been? Yeah. I have eggs for you, please. Heal on up. Santos Laguna with one final push. Latin America North's final chance at getting to Championship Sunday. Zeta Division holding strong so far. Tomato from the outside. Vitopo always there for the backup. A resurrect from Tomato brings back Wajiro. And Zeta Division holding strong. Hitman down. Garchomp sweep. And Zeta Division are going to Championship Sunday.
Japan for 2 years in a row. They've made it back, the final hope of the region. And they have made it all the way. Look at that immediately. The team, you can see how happy they are, and well-deserved. Our first semifinal match of the day and a clean sweep, fully in control.
3-0 fashion over one of the hottest teams in the World Championships this year. Santos Laguna. First, our flowers to that team. An amazing run, the best run this region has ever seen. And what a showing from this team. Not only regional near the end of the year, but now internationally here at the World Championships.
You can see some mixed emotions definitely from Santos Laguna. They should be proud of themselves. I mean, 4th place in the world is an absolutely amazing placement. Obviously, you always want to do better, but you can see some smiles, you can see some disappointed faces, but certainly we know with those players, they'll be back, as we've seen them years and years again. Zeta, though, this might be their year.